Table for One by Jackson Allen. Read by Carissa Lynn. You know it's an apocalypse when we run out of appetizers. 40 years of cocktails and Cajun haute cuisine on Bourbon Street taught Charles something about survival logistics. That's why his cafe could serve fresh crab dip and gumbo while everyone else split MREs. How did you get in here? A girl bartender asked me my first night, hands around a steel shaker of rye. I'll have one of those, I answered. It was the first time I'd seen a fresh mint julep in months. You must know somebody. Nope. I shook my head. Charles invited me. Oh, she nodded. Table for one. What's that mean? There's only 2 ways to get in. She let the bourbon dribble into a polished highball glass. Know someone, or be someone. Did anyone recommend you? Did you pay membership dues? Ain't got money, I said. Charles told me to come here. Ah, the secret third option. She garnished the glass with a mint leaf. Charles saw you, likes your face, thinks you're interesting. That's me. You want an MJ, huh? She rattled fresh ice into her shaker. Yes, please. I wiped my glasses clean of raindrops. This place is amazing. We think so. Her smile turned wan. Been here long? Got off the bus from Mobile 2 hours ago. Moving ever since they closed Panama City. And before that? Orlando. Man, the coast is toast. They'll be selling chunks of the A1A as souvenirs. Just like that... What was that wall over in Europe? The Berlin Wall? She answered, her eyes narrowing. What's your name? Jimmy G. Well, Jimmy, my name is Sarah. This is the only time I'm going to say this. She set the glass in front of me, her eyes staring into mine. Finish that drink and rattle your hawks. You don't want to stay here. Are you kidding? I'll tell them it was a mistake. It's happened before. Best thing you can do is pay for that drink and walk out of here. Why would I do that? Because you're a table for one, Sarah answered. You don't know anyone here. You don't pay your dues. Tables for one and one way. What's that mean? It's like poker, kid. Ever play poker? Sure. They say, look around the table. If you can't spot the sucker, then the sucker is you. You heard that before? Yeah, what's that have to do with Charlie's Cafe? It means look around the room, Jimmy G. Sarah pleaded. This is a poker game. I'll think about it, I laughed. Aren't you listening to me? Sure I am. I'm smelling that food, too. This'll be my first hot meal in 2 months. Okay. Sarah held up her hands. I tried. What'll you have? Muffalata. My grandma used to make them, and I had a hankering. It'll be out in a minute. Sarah's voice returned to her professional warmth. Make yourself comfortable. I'll do that. It was time to take in the surroundings. I leaned back in my chair and let the bourbon warm my chest. Outside, the rain grew worse. Hard drops pelted the blue tarps, stretched over raw wood planks on Charlie's patio. Inside the cafe, a collage of faded pictures hid the corrugated steel wall. Blasted-out speakers played smoky blues and rock tunes. This was my reward, I told myself, for all those hungry, homeless months. Is the seat taken? Charles smiled down at me, martini in hand. My foot shoved the chair out for him to sit down. It is now. Delightful. Charles folded his ancient white maitre d' jacket carefully over the back of the chair. He arranged silverware with clean, liver-spotted hands. It is rare that we have a customer with your manners. Sarah taking care of you? Sure is. Can't wait to try that muffalata. It's an old family recipe. The man smiled. We have to improvise, of course. Spam instead of proper salami, gourmet cheese instead of provolone. You wouldn't believe what I have to go through to get a can of olives in this camp. I can imagine. But the benefits outweigh the challenge, Charles sighed. The bread is homemade, and we started growing our own tomatoes. I think you'll be pleased. Tell me that story again. I changed the subject, sipping my cocktail. How you got the idea for this place? When I was a young man, a hurricane blew through New Orleans. Big sucker. Flooded Ninth Ward. 1,800 people died. Katrina, right? The very same. Charles inclined his head in my direction. 2 weeks after the storm, we're digging through the rubble. Come upon this freezer full, I mean full, of fresh meat. Steak, lobster, soft-shelled crabs, crab meat. What did you do with it? We threw a party, a barbecue, for the National Guard soldiers assigned to our neighborhood. Charles' eyes brightened at the memory. An old-fashioned cookout. It was something to see. No power, no internet, no air conditioning. The city was a ghost, but we could still live. Just hearing that makes my mouth water. It made me realize, Charles went on, people don't want to go on living. They want to live. Know what I mean? I suppose. These folks, he pointed toward the crowded dining room, lost houses, money, jobs, family. They still want to feel human, civilized. They can have that at the cafe, if only for a moment or two. If they can afford it. Can't live on air in this business. Charles's smile turned rueful. Offer a service that people will pay you to get. Simple capitalism. You make it sound so easy. Well, let's talk about you. What service could you provide? You mean as a waiter? I'm thinking bigger. Charles stroked his chin. Fine young man like you. Got a strong back, a good pair of hands. I got a degree in international studies, too. You don't say. What's that good for? That's what I was trying to find out when the jackpot started. You think I could get an office gig around here? Possibly. But there are other opportunities. Charles beckoned to Sarah, who appeared with my dinner and second cocktail. Another round with your meal, sir? You bet. I dug into the warm, crusty bread, meat and melted cheese. Glorious flavors and textures. Sent my taste buds into overdrive. From MREs to gourmet cuisine in one move. You can't imagine how good normal food tastes after a week of emergency rations. My hunger drove me to inhale the sandwich in minutes. After the last bite of Cajun fare, I sat back to enjoy the unfamiliar sensation of a full belly. Charles beamed with pleasure as I sipped my second cocktail. That's what I like to see, the old man purred. Another satisfied customer. Put me down for a reservation for tomorrow night, too, I replied. Now, what were you saying earlier about other ways? Other ways to make money? Charles scratched his fleshy nose with a polished fingernail. All kinds of action in a refugee camp. I'm surprised no one's recruited you yet. They tried. Work crews, aid station. Like I said, I'm better in an office. None of them pay very well. Never do. You can have safety or money, but you can't have both. Those cheap seawalls are failing, mass outbreaks, food riots. Dangerous world out there. Sad to say, the cafe doesn't cover all my bills. I have to find other ways to keep the roof over our head. What do you do? I asked, feeling the warmth of Sarah's beverage spread to my limbs. If you need an extra pair of hands, I'm your man. The operation is pretty simple, Charles answered. You must be a history buff. Know what a crimper is? Not offhand. Doesn't matter. No refugee camp in the olden days, but you would have ports and border towns, boom towns, like in the gold rush. Sure. Know what they had in common? Booze? I felt my muscles relax. Wow, must have been more tired than I thought. Charles smiled. Very common. Now back to the boom towns. New people, new faces, everyone on their way to somewhere else. Make a pretty penny supplying basic necessities. I don't mind telling you. Food? Yes, food. Or other commodities. Like workers, for example. Mines, railroad building, sailors. Always need another strong back. Know what they did when they ran low on crew members? Hired new ones? The old man's smile turned lopsided, as if he heard the funniest joke in weeks. Hired, yes, if they could. Those new faces knew the score. Those jobs weren't easy. A lot of times they replaced previous employees who were hurt or killed. Sounds like a good scam, except for the employees. Precisely. So those old boys got kinda desperate. You gotta put yourself in their shoes. Fresh meat for the railroad? Or a ship? That's probably a couple months' wages for a few hours of work. Grab 'em off the street, put 'em on a rowboat, never have to look 'em in the eye. Charles shifted in his chair. I bet the first one was tough. Probably got easier over time. The sound of my voice was thick in my ears. Was it my imagination, or was the room spinning? I suppose there's a reason you're telling me this. Yes, indeed, the old man crackled. The best ways are the old ways, especially for an old fart like me. How'd you enjoy that whiskey? Dang, I must be tired. I felt the words slide around in my mouth. Haven't had booze knock me over like this in a long time. We'll sort you out, Charles promised. Now 2 men stood at the table. Where did they come from? I felt strong hands grab me under the armpits. From the bar, I saw Sarah's face turn to the floor. She didn't want to watch what was happening. Sarah! Charles' icy, stern eyes were the last thing I saw before the lights went out. Tell Peter. Table for 1 is ready. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to purchase Table for 1 as an audiobook or read other stories by Jackson Allen, please visit www.inkican.com/brain tacos. Thanks again.